this presentation about communities and events, I want to share my passion and also some tips if you want to be in this world of communities and events. And I want to start with a big number, that it is the number of conferences that are only hosted in CZNICE, more than 6,000. There are other platforms to host conferences, but only in this is more than 6,000. But also with local groups, there are more than 330,000 only using Meetup. Yeah, I know, these are not only technical groups or technical conferences, but still, it's an amazing number. So I will talk about my experience from different points of view. I've been speaker, I've been organizer, I've been attendee, I've been as a company also running a booth. So I've been in several, let's say, characters in the communities and events, and I want to share with you my experience. Spoiler alert, this is my passion. So this presentation will be full of passion because this is what I love the most. I'm Jonathan, I'm Java champion since 2020. I'm also one of the leaders of the Barcelona Java community and also co-founder of JVCN Conf and DevBCN. These are two conferences that we run in Barcelona for more than 1,000 attendees and 8 editions already. I've been developer for more than 30 years in several languages. And apart from Java, I would say that the one that I liked the most was Delphi. I don't know if anyone here has used Delphi before. Yes. The funny part is that the other day I received a job position from a recruiter about Delphi. And I thought Delphi was no longer in use. But I suppose that the developer retired or something, so that's why. But I also, I've been also speaker in several conferences. Super lucky to be here again. I was here last year, so thank you for having me. And Sonar is the company that pays my mortgage, and I run the role of developer advocate at Sonar. Probably some of you know what is Sonar, the company behind SonarCube, the static analyzer. Okay, so Sonar has 3 main tools: SonarLint, SonarCube, and SonarCloud. That well, SonarLint is a free IDE plugin that will analyze the code, and it covers more than 30 languages at the same time, even infrastructure as code languages. SonarCube, that is also free on the community edition and analyze projects. And SonarCloud, that it is the hosted version, that it's also free for open source projects. If you want to know more about Sonar, just ping me. By the way, I brought some swag, socks, stickers, and pens, so if you want to take them. But I will start with a story. It's a story based, I guarantee, on true facts. It's my story. So 12 years ago, I was working for a company that we needed to use Spring Framework. We checked the websites, we checked courses, but we were not happy with that. So we still had doubts. So what we did is, hey, search for our doubts, because for sure there are other people having the same problems. So I found the Barcelona Java user group, and I asked them, hey, do you know about Spring? Can you talk about it? And we can just pay you in beers. And they said yes. So we met in a bar, and the magic came here. On the way from my office to the bar, I tweeted, probably one of the first tweets that I did. I tweeted about this meeting. That's it. I went to the bar, 6 people, we started talking about Spring, and suddenly a person approaches us and says, hey, is this the Spring meetup? And I said, well, definitely we are talking about Spring, and definitely it's a meeting, but I wouldn't say it's a meetup. We are only 6 people. And he said, oh, don't worry, I will show you Spring. So he took his laptop and started doing a presentation about Spring. That shocked my mind because I was not aware that these things happen with people randomly appearing and sharing for free. So then I started collaborating with the Barcelona Java community, helping, putting chairs in meetups, and then running events, organizing, and finding speakers. But 2 years later, I jumped to the next level. That was on the way from home to the bakery. I said, hey, I want to know more about OSGI technology. At that time, I was a big fan. I still am a big fan of OSGI. And I said, hey, well, I knew a guy, JB, that was behind Apache Karaf, a container for OSGI. So I asked him, do you know someone that wants to give a talk about Karaf in Barcelona? And he said, yes, I can do it. The good thing here is that JB lives in Paris. And he came on a Friday afternoon. He gave a talk. And a Saturday morning, he gave a workshop about Apache Karaf. And that broke my mind because I discovered that community is not only something local. Can spread among countries, among cities, and people are willing to share knowledge. And from that point, I became Java champion. I've run a conference with more than 1,000 attendees for 8 editions. And now I've been paid for my dream job, that it is to be developer advocate. So that's been amazing. And remember that everything started with a tweet for 6 people meeting about Spring. At that time, there was no Quarkus or Micronaut, unfortunately. But now that you see, well, my journey, I would like to share, well, a bit of description. What are tech communities? Well, basically, tech communities are everything except tech. I mean, tech communities are made by humans. Humans is the important part. And everything starts with interaction, talking to each other, sharing, learning, asking, commenting. With that interaction, we learn a lot of things. We learn about technologies we didn't know. We learn more about special things for the technology that we are using. Or even we learn about cool ways to reach the city from the outside. I don't know. Even cool bars. But this will create a growth on you personally, professionally, and your networks. And finally, this will lead to improve because you are going to have a better knowledge and, who knows, a better job. It has happened to me several times just because of the community. And communities for developers. Well, the main point is that the community is not a group, or basically, it's not only a group. You can create groups with, I don't know, tall people, blonde people, but those are not communities. Community share interest and also has a commitment. That's the important part. Usually are based around open source projects because you can play with them, you can download, you can even contribute to. And a very important point is that they are run by internal motivation. So it's not, we don't have anyone saying, hey, you need to organize meetups. Hey, you need to go to meetups. Although I think companies should at least help on that. It's something that starts from yourself because you want to improve. And which are the activities that these developer communities are doing? Well, basically, I can summarize in these activities. Don't pay too much attention on which is the logo that I used, because there are other examples, but I think that the most common ones are, or at least these ones are very representative. So community will start with meetups, with local meetings where you know the other people and you talk to them in a close situation. But also, it's around code, and everything that happens around code, it's learning, downloading, and contributing to. But then there are other activities to express our experience, our knowledge, or our lack of knowledge. Articles, forums, and videos. I put emphasis on lack of knowledge because we usually think that contributing to something means adding. But usually, it starts with making questions. Sometimes a good question leads to discover cases that the product managers didn't know. Or it leads to discover corner cases that the tests are not covering. So questions are super important to create community too. And we can start making questions. That's a very good action. And well, you can create videos and articles to show your experience by putting what you've learned, or which are your doubts, or I don't know, whatever you tried. It will help your colleagues and it will help the community for sure. Even the simplest thing, it will help. And finally, what we have is ambassadors or champions programs that several companies have, or projects, and also conferences like this one. I would like to thank you for being here, just because think for a second, how many developers do you know, or how many developers do you think exist in your area? And not all of them are here. So if you are here, it's because you are already in this internal motivation of sharing and being part of a community. So let's start with meetups. Meetups can be something very randomly organized, like this one. This was an unconference with developer advocates coming from different corners of Spain. We organized it in one afternoon, and we met, and that was amazing. So it can be something not very well prepared, but definitely will be worth it. Or can be a more prepared activity, talking to an audience. But the most important part here is it's a close audience. So you will have like 2-3 hours with them during the talk, before and during the drinks. Or even a bigger audience, like this one in Amsterdam. I organized, well, not me, we organized a Netherlands tour in 5 minutes. It involved 4 meetups. Unfortunately, I could only attend 2, but it was organized in 5 minutes. And it was amazing. A lot of people in the Amsterdam Jack and in the Brabant Jack. It was great. So meetups will give you a small crowd where you can get feedback, you can share, and you can learn easily. And they are local. I mean local because they use cultural characteristics of the local area, even language. I don't know, I discovered during the presentation that there is a dialect or language called Kolch. So that's amazing if you can have talks in Kolch or in German instead of English. Also, sure. Also because they can serve you as a training, not because training as a speaker, but also training in everything. You are going to see how people behave in a meetup, how people talk in a meetup, and you can start doing talks there that will help you to come here to a bigger audience. Definitely, it's a very important point. I would say that for me, community is based on meetups. Conferences are the final result, but definitely meetups. Just only with Java user groups. I assume most of you are using Java as a regular language? Someone that is not using Java? Okay. So Java user groups, there are more than 250 around the world. In Europe, only in Europe, more than 130 Java user groups. But in Germany, there are 32. I would say that Germany is the country that has the most Java user groups in Europe. So yeah, definitely is something that you definitely are doing well in order to have those meetups. I assume a lot of people are going to those meetups. Who has attended more than 2 meetups in the last 6 months? And for the rest, you are now thinking about doing it, right? Okay, that's fine. You have plenty of them everywhere in Germany, so it's not... okay, so if we talk about code, with code, we can learn because you can pull the code. You can read the code and see the way a lot of people are developing the technologies used and the ways to solve things. You can start reading the code, playing with it, creating documentation, translating documentation, adding bits of documentation that you think are not well documented. You can even start with easy issues. A lot of projects have easy to begin issues that you can start with them. Some of them, the issue also has the solution. Just is a way to encourage people to participate in the project. Or you can create quick starts. That it is okay about using, I don't know, Apache Kafka. You can create a quick start to use it, simple one, and you can publish it. And a lot of people will benefit of it. I would say one of the most important parts that a lot of time people forgets is that it's super important to have documentation translated. So a very easy way of starting being a committer of a project is to translate documentation into your own language. This will benefit a lot of users. There are aggregators for good first issues. You can find several. Well, in the presentation, I've added some of them, but you can use it from GitHub or others, and you will find good first issue label. And in some cases, now it comes to my mind, a project called JCube. It's a deployment project that allows you to deploy applications into Kubernetes. I know the maintainer, and he creates a lot of good first issues that even include the solution and the steps to fix the solution, to fix the issue, just because he wants people to join the project and start committing to the project. Sometimes committing the first solution or the first pull request involves some steps. You need to, for instance, create an account in Eclipse Foundation and sign your commits, several steps. And those good first issues are good just to test this process. But also there are themed or seasoned issues, Hacktoberfest, Advent of Code. So you can find lots of places with issues tagged especially for these events. In some cases, it also involves people meeting physically. So I've been in few meetups about Hacktoberfest, where people just meet and work to fix issues in pairs. And the magic comes when you have next to you a person using, I don't know, Python. And you said, hey, why not? Let's learn Python. And then you start knowing another language. It's amazing if you can attend these kind of events. And Advent of Code is something that happens around Christmas, and it's similar. So it's a dedicated time to fix issues in several projects. So it's not only for fun. I mean, don't forget that you are helping the project. You are being there, you are committing, you are contributing. Just only for registering to it and making questions. And it's worldwide, so it's not something that happens in your city. And it can start from very low level issues. It's not only about super complex ones. You can start with easy ones. It's a great way of doing, of starting these things. If you want to contribute just asking or committing, forums are also an amazing place to be. You know one that is very famous, Stack Overflow. There are others, and some projects have their own. Sonar has a community forum where people just ask questions or answer questions, or even none of them. They simply add comments about, hey, yes, it's happening to me too. But that is information and it's contribution, definitely. And some of them even have a gamified approach. With the Stack Overflow, you have badges, points, and those kinds of things. I know that Sonar is going to implement something that will also give you points, swag, and who knows. But there are also there's a way to recognize all this effort. Some companies, some products, some projects have these kind of ambassadors or champions programs where they recognize people for their contributions in forums, in code fixing issues, even for giving talks about a technology. In Sonar, we have people, we hire them just because they were talking about Sonar before joining Sonar. So Sonar, it's the easy thing, hire them. And in rewards, they are going to recognize you publicly, give you early access to products if you want to play with versions that are still not there in a public access. In some cases, like Google, Oracle, Azure, they are going to give you tokens or credits that you can use to consume their services for free. And in some cases, like Google developer experts, they can even fund your trips to conferences if you talk about them. And definitely they are going to give you swag. T-shirts, jackets, stickers, you name it. If we talk about Java Champions program, well, I have to say that again, Germany, and it's not a coincidence that Germany has the most Java user groups in Europe, it has also the most Java champions. Not in Europe, just in the world, because if we break down United States, we should do it, because if we are comparing United States with Europe, we win in lots of cases. In this case too. If we break down United States, Germany is again the first one, the first country in the world with more Java champions. I put them, their faces here, but well, you should be very proud about this Java community in Germany. And finally, conferences like this one. Well, basically, it's a different approach. For those of you that have attended meetups, you know, well, this is a bigger audience. You have way more people here, but it's also harder to have a close relationship, at least with speakers, because there are talks all day long, and it's more complicated to have a close contact. They also have an interesting thing, that it is the talk competition. So now my talk is competing with Java 22 features talk and 2 more. So that definitely affects the talks. And also, in your case, you need to choose which one you want to attend. Thank you for being here. But conferences are also giving these random meetings around the coffee or around the lunch. Definitely use them. I always say that the best part of a conference is what it is not recorded. This talk is recorded. You can check it offline. But the meetings or the talks during the coffee break or the lunch are not recorded. Definitely use that time and interact with people. And parties or events. Another important thing that happens with conferences, don't miss them, because you will see another part of speakers. It happened to me that in my conference, in the past, for the speakers, we organized a full day of activities. One of them was a water castle. So it's a castle, inflatable castle, that it's on top of a lake. And it was super interesting to see main committers on super big projects suffering from pulling a rope or falling to the water. So it gave me a different perspective of that people and humanized them a little bit. So it's super important also if you can attend parties. And which is the journey that I suggest for all people to start in the communities? Obviously, to be the person that attends the meetups, that learns, that sees how a meetup is organized and it's done. Also, that checks code, downloads, plays with it, and asks questions in forums. Then attend conferences like you are doing now. And maybe in some cases you can do the step and talk in meetups. It's also super important because when you speak, the recognition is not on your company. The recognition is on you. And this is something that will increase the value, perceived value from others. If you want to jump to another company, if you want to increase, I don't know, your salary, if you want to change jobs, definitely talking is putting the focus on top of you. Also, it has some drawbacks, yes, but it has a huge list of benefits. I totally encourage you to do it. And finally, talking to a bigger audience in a conference is something that definitely I think you should try. It gives you more confidence in yourself. It's not easy to step here and talk to people, and so I totally encourage you to do it. It's a challenge. Everything that is a challenge is going to improve you. So, my tips of being part of the community. First, attend meetups. The most meetups that you can attend, the better. And if you can go to meetups that are not directly related to your technology, that's even better. Because it's like, yeah, I use Java, so why I should go to a Python meetup? You never know. You go there, you don't like it, fine, you don't repeat. But probably you will meet a lot of people. But what if you go there and you like it? It's an important experience. I totally encourage you to try, even for a conference. I will give that tip later. Try things that are not on your schedule, that are not on your plan. Also, it's important to do a bit of preparation. So if you go to a meetup, don't go and say, okay, what's this about? You are missing part of it. Prepare a bit. And if you can play with the technology or have some, at least a brief experience with that technology or the topic that is going to be talked about, the better, because now you can bring questions, more curated questions to the meetup. You will definitely get more benefit of it. An important part going to a meetup is that, remember, it's community, it's not individuals. So try to not go alone. Try to grab a colleague, try to grab a friend and go. Because if this happens, your friend next time will bring another friend and another friend. So always try to encourage other people to go to meetups and go with them. It's going to improve the experience. And talk, and talk. We are humans. We are, nowadays we talk less and we ask ChatGPT for a lot of things. But it's important to remember that we are humans. We talk. There are lots of things that happen in your brain when you talk to a person that it is that you're doing the conversation face to face. So talk, share. I don't know. It will give you bad experiences, maybe, but definitely way more good experiences. Okay. So attend, grow, I said, prepare, and engage conversations. Be involved. Definitely being involved involves meeting the organizers. Know them. Ask them, hey, how are you doing this? Do you need help for the next time? Just even with the chairs, I started doing that. Offer your help in everything and be involved. It doesn't mean that you need to be like the super rock star in a technology. No. Nobody starts as a rock star. In fact, nobody. So offer your help with everything and be involved. And finally, don't be shy to suggest. In our Barcelona Java user group meetups, we start with a presentation saying, please suggest topics. Hey, I want to learn about, I don't know, Olama. Okay, great. So we will find the speaker. But if you already know someone, we will ping that person. Do you want to talk? Perfect. I don't know, it's suggest things, be part of it. You will help a lot just doing that. If you want to contribute, as I said, you go to the code and you join those open source projects. You pull the code, you read, you play with it, and in the forums, you answer, you make questions, you fix docs, translate docs, and you commit. These are all the activities that you can do if you want to contribute. And for attending conferences, this one is very important. It's announcing that you are attending the conference. Who here has made a tweet saying, or a LinkedIn post saying, I'm attending JCon conference? What about the rest? Your friends don't know that you are here. Your colleagues don't know that you are here, well, in some cases. It's important to announce that you are going to a meetup, that you are going to a conference, because remember, my story starts with me announcing that I was attending a meetup. If I didn't announce that, maybe I would not be here. Well, that's a big assumption, but yeah, you know what I mean. So it's important to announce it internally. Hey, I'm attending JCon, to your team, to the broader team. Who knows? People will say, oh, if that person is attending that conference, that means that that conference is important. I will attend too. Remember that there is a lot of people not here. And in most of those cases, they don't know about communities, they don't know about conferences, they don't know about meetups. You can be the one that changes others' life. Just announce it. Prepare. Okay, consider that some talks, like this one, are recorded. So in some cases, it's better to go to talks that are not recorded, because the talks that are recorded, you can check them offline. And also, it's important to prepare the topic a bit, again, the same as with meetups, in order to have questions, in order to know the speaker and to know what I can ask that person. It's important to prepare a bit just to take the most out of it. And mingle, this is super important. Don't be alone in a conference. Ask the other person in the coffee, hey, what is your technology? Start with that, I don't know. And you will meet a lot of people, and definitely you will change your career path, I assume, very quickly. Networking is important. During the conference, announce that you attended a talk. Say, hey, it was a crap, or it was amazing, or these are the pictures, because this is creating a context around you, and people following you will say, oh, so you are attending that talk. That's great. Go and talk to the speaker if you think that it is important. Don't be shy. Usually speakers are not bad people. And another important part is all the people that you met in a conference, try to follow them. Hey, can I follow you in LinkedIn or in whatever other application? Because it's important to have this network that you can follow them, ask them, and even meet them in the next conference or meetup. And with conferences and meetups, the most important part, again, is what it's called the hallway track. It's not about a talk. It's about what happens in the hallway. Coffee, lunch, going to a sponsor booth and having random conversations with people. This is the most important part of a conference. I always say the same, talks are online, but hallway track is not online. If you want to share, to be there, to be here, or in a meetup, there are some points that, well, I would like to share with you from my experience. There is something called the imposter syndrome. So it's like, hey, I'm going to talk to people. They don't care about what I'm going to say. I'm not as good. And who is going to be there? There's no point on doing this. Wrong. It's always important to be there. Just sharing a fail process, it's amazing. It's very rare that you will find a speaker talking about failing, because in our culture, failing is bad. But you only learn by failing. So in this case, you share things. I always, in my other presentations, I say, I'm not here to teach you anything, because I cannot teach anything. What I can do is to share. Take it as it is, take the profit of it or not. That's not my point, it's yours. I'm here just to share my experience and what I know. And sharing your own experience, it's amazing. In any level. Just how I started with, I don't know, Quarkus. Great, because there's a lot of people not using Quarkus that would love to see how a person started using Quarkus. And maybe you can share, hey, and it was a failure. Great, because you are saving me a lot of time if you share that. There is another thing, that it is the audience size. Yeah, it's hard to be in front of 1,000 people, 100. So start with smaller audiences like meetups. It will help you to break this imposter syndrome. Another tip is to start a sidekick. Instead of doing the talk you alone, you start with another person that has already talked, and you start like a sidekick. So if you have other colleagues in your company that have done talks, suggest them to do a talk with them. In one case, for a company, I was suggesting them, hey, you should give a meetup. And they said, hey, I don't find people to do the meetup. And I said, you know what? I have a talk, in this case about Quarkus. Why don't we simply take one person that gives my presentation? I will be there as a sidekick in order to answer questions if that person doesn't know the answer. But this helped her to learn the technology, to prepare for the presentation, and to give one of her first presentations. So it helped a lot. Now she's doing a lot of talks, so that's awesome. And attend meetups. When you are in a meetup, you learn how other people are presenting. So this is also super important. About the topic, always say the topic is not about you. It's about what the audience is going to take. So it's not talking about what I think I like to talk, but it's what I think you will benefit from. So that's also important. There's a lot of or several speakers that tend to go to a meetup or a conference, oh, because I want to talk about this. No, but that's not the important point. It's which is the outcome for the people that are there. The audience has different culturalities, so also you need to take that into consideration when you create your presentation. If you can connect with the audience, knowing their cultural attributes, that's also important. Multi-languages, if you can talk different languages, that's even better. And also to know the roles in the conference. A lot of conferences, if you ask them, they will give you the segmentation for the past edition. And then you can see, well, if there were like backend developers or front-end developers or architects or managers, and then probably you can adapt your talk to that definition. With the call for papers, well, this is an image from my conference. We received more than 1,000 papers. It's a lot. So better to send your abstract early because there are conferences that are have a rolling approval process, so they are approving as they receive, so they don't wait until a date to approve. It's important the title of your talk, the abstract of your talk, and the content of your talk. Super important, the title. Can you imagine teams reviewing 1,000 papers, putting a lot of effort on reading everything? Well, they should put, but in the end, it's hard. If the title is bad enough, well, definitely this is counting a lot. And the abstract needs to be clear and important for others to review the talk. Important to share failed processes, and also I totally recommend that you have different topics talks. So not only Java talks, not only Kubernetes talks. If you can have a talk about Java, a talk about Kubernetes, one about AI, and one about communities, then you increase the possibilities of being selected. And open source is super important, because if not, the audience will not be able to engage with your project. This is also important when you are giving a presentation. The bottom of the pyramid is what you think you are going to say or what you want to say. Then it's really what you said, that it is less than that. Then what people heard, that is less than that. Then when people understood, that it is even less than that. And finally, what people remember of your talk. So don't put too much content, and think about this pyramid that people will not remember most of your talk. This is super important. Interaction, also it's important if you can add a QR with the link of your slides, because people will just connect to the slides. If you can try to engage and ask Boolean questions to the audience, that's also nice. If you can have a form with feedback, so people can give you feedback. In some conferences, they have applications to vote or to give feedback. In this case, we don't have in this conference, and in other conferences, they don't have it too. So it's important that you have it. And if you can bring swag like this, people probably will love it. Mentor internally, attending, sharing that you attend, speaking internally in your conference, in your company. It's also a very important point in order to start. And make a list of conferences and give them to your team lead, manager, whatever, because who knows, maybe you know more than them which are the conferences and meetups that the company should attend or even sponsor. Finally, I'm going to finish a bit over time. It's important to have this feeling of belonging and interaction in your community. It's about interacting and proactively belonging to a community. And important, super important, is to mentor others, to help others to be as lucky as you to participate in the communities and events. I have some references that you will be able to check later. And finally, well, my slides, feedback, if you want to give me feedback about my presentation. I think I write it correctly. Dankeschön. And let's pray that Borussia wins the championship. That's all. Thank you very much. There are any questions? I will be more. Yeah, sure. Yeah. I think they will, but I would hate that. The thing is that we need humans to give bad answers, or we need humans to give weird answers, or even super good answers, instead of having something that it is giving the average answer every time. So I would hate that AI is replacing the human interaction. But definitely, if we don't do anything with that, that's how it's gonna end. That's why it's super important to have this passion about communities and share it with other people that will see that AI is not the right way to go. That's my point. Sure. Mm-hmm. Yes, you can find in Eventbrite. Uh, and if you are searching for a meetup in a special technology, just simply go to the mailing list in that technology and ask. It's the best way. You will find people that you never know. It's like, is there a meetup about this in my city? And then it happens that another person had the same idea as you, and the answer is no, but what if we create one? So yeah, I think that the best way is to ask in the mailing list. Oh, sure. Yeah. Well, okay, okay. Well, in those cases, the solutions are very, 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 super very, ultra very stupid. So the issue can be just remove those two unused imports. Instead of him doing that, he like creates the issue. Hey, you need to do this because this is a very stupid thing, and that you can do, and it's easy to understand why. He also documents why we are removing this import, or why we should, I don't know, change the the Java package from JavaX to the Jakarta package. Yeah, very simple ones. Oh, okay. Well, in the end, the responsibility is never on you. You are submitting a pull request. No, but I mean, you are only submitting a pull request. You are not going to merge it. So he has to merge it. You create the pull request, but then he has all the work of reviewing all the pull requests and merging or rejecting them. So the responsibility is on him. That's it. But it's a way of for people just to say, okay, I want to start committing. Yeah, I will do one or two super basic issues, and then I will move to bigger ones, just because for the very first issues you need to follow some instructions to register on Eclipse, you need to follow some documentation, you need to give details on your pull request, and what he wants is that you train on very easy ones in order to move to more complex ones, but following the guidelines. Sure. Okay, let me answer with a direct question. Did you like my presentation? Just honestly. Yes. You will find everything. I haven't said anything new. Nothing at all. Nothing. But do you think it was worth it being here for you? Then you have your answer. Okay. Any other questions? Don't be shy. What can you lose to ask? Sure. I hate them. I hate them. I've done several of them, and it's hard to talk to a screen. Um, Interesting fact: this presentation I've rehearsed 2 times, but only half of it. It's super hard for me to rehearse in front of a screen. It gets me tired, bored. It's off. I hate it. Hope I didn't do it super bad. Uh, but yeah, talking to a screen is very. And also, there's another point. Here, social rules make you, I don't know, aware of that you have other people and that the speaker is looking at you. So maybe just using your laptop during the whole presentation and doing other things, you're not going to do it usually. So you are going to give focus to this presentation. If it's online, this is not going to happen. I've given talk for the Swiss JAG once, and they have a tool I've only used once, but it's a very interesting one. When you are giving the talk virtually, then they give you a report about all the people connected, from which country, blah, blah, blah. But one important point is how many people had the video tab in focus at every minute. And this is super important because that means that people are mostly looking at that window, and it was a proportion of the total. So I don't like giving virtual presentations, but also can help you on being everywhere, and it's easier. I started also last year sending a tweet saying, "Hey, I want to give a talk about this in any meetup that wants to host me virtually." And I talked in India, Japan, United States, and you get your name known. So that's also a good point. Well, it also, everything has goods and bads. If you don't have more questions, oh, thank you very much for being here.